Some families feel like they got a pay raise on paper but a pay cut in real life. Prices at the supermarket look different from a year ago, energy bills feel heavier, and a full tank of fuel drains the budget faster. Have you noticed your money working harder but buying less? The strange part is your salary may not have changed much, yet your lifestyle feels tighter. Is this just a temporary rough phase, or a deeper shift in how money works today? In this video, we'll look at what economic data and household finance research reveal about this silent pay cut, and more importantly, how smart families are adapting so they don't just survive, but stay ahead. Number 1. Reality check. Across many households today, the biggest financial change hasn't come from one dramatic expense but from many small increases quietly stacking up. Groceries that used to fit comfortably within a weekly budget now cost noticeably more. Utility bills fluctuate but trend higher. Transport, insurance, and everyday services slowly take a bigger bite out of income. When you look at each item alone, the jump may not feel shocking, but together they reshape a family's monthly budget. This is why many people feel pressure even if their salary hasn't fallen. The gap between what money earns and what money buys has widened. A simple way to understand this is through the idea of real income. Real income isn't just what you earn, it's what your earnings can actually purchase. If pay stays the same but prices rise, your real income effectively shrinks. You're not earning less, but your money has less power. Economists often describe this as purchasing power erosion. It sounds technical, but the experience is very human. The same paycheck covers fewer things. Over time, this can change saving habits, lifestyle choices, and even long-term plans. Research on inflation consistently shows that essentials tend to be felt most strongly because they can't easily be avoided. People can delay buying a new gadget or holiday, but they can't skip food, electricity, or transport to work. That's why rising essential costs feel personal and immediate. Many families respond by adjusting quietly, switching brands, reducing extras, or planning to spend more carefully. These adjustments aren't always visible from the outside, but they reflect a real shift in household decision-making. The important point in this reality check is awareness. When costs rise gradually, it's easy to underestimate their total effect. Taking a closer look at monthly spending often reveals patterns that explain why money feels tighter. And it raises a simple but powerful reflection. Have your monthly costs quietly climbed more than you realized? Number 2. Budget pressure. For many households, the pressure on the budget shows up in the same key areas again and again. Groceries, energy, housing, and transport. These are not luxury categories. They are the foundations of daily life. A weekly food shop that once felt routine can now cost noticeably more, even when buying the same items. You might walk into the supermarket with a familiar list and walk out wondering how the total climbed so quickly. Energy bills add another layer, especially during colder months when heating becomes non-negotiable. Housing costs, whether rent or mortgage, often take the largest share of income, leaving less room to absorb increases elsewhere. Then there's transport, fuel, public transit, car maintenance, all quietly rising over time. What makes budget pressure stressful is not just the numbers but the unpredictability. When multiple essentials increase at once, planning feels harder. Many families cope by trimming small comforts, postponing purchases, or dipping slightly into savings. These changes may seem minor individually, but over months, they reshape financial confidence. The good news is that clarity brings control. One of the most effective habits is tracking spending for 30 days. Not to restrict yourself, but to see patterns. Often, people discover surprises, small repeated expenses that add up or categories that grew faster than expected. Awareness allows smarter adjustments without feeling deprived. If this breakdown helps you see your own budget more clearly, take a moment to like the video, subscribe for practical money insights, and share in the comments which expense has risen most for you lately. Your experience could help others realize they're not alone in feeling this shift. Number 3. Stress impact. Money worries don't just affect bank accounts, they affect the mind. Financial stress has a quiet way of following people throughout the day, sitting in the background during work, family time, and even moments meant for rest. When bills feel heavier or budgets feel tight, the brain naturally shifts into problem-solving mode. While that can be useful in short bursts, Constant concern drains mental energy. Research in behavioral economics and psychology has shown that financial stress can reduce focus, shorten attention span, and make everyday decisions feel more tiring. It's not about intelligence or discipline. It's about cognitive load. When the mind is preoccupied with money concerns, there's simply less space left for clear thinking. This is why planning can feel harder during financially tense periods. People may delay decisions, avoid looking at numbers, or feel overwhelmed by choices they would normally handle calmly. Even simple tasks, comparing prices, setting budgets, or reviewing statements, can feel emotionally charged. Over time, this stress can influence productivity at work and patience at home. Small issues feel bigger, and long-term planning gets replaced by short-term coping. It's a very human response to uncertainty. One helpful approach is structure. Instead of thinking about money every day, setting scheduled money check-ins can bring a sense of control. For example, reviewing finances once a week or twice a month turns a constant worry into a planned activity. During that time, you look at spending, bills, and goals calmly, then step away. This creates mental boundaries, allowing the brain to relax outside those moments. Financial clarity doesn't remove all pressure, but it reduces the fog around decisions. When people feel informed rather than uncertain, they often regain a sense of stability, and that stability supports clearer thinking in every area of life. Number 4. Smart adaptation. When costs rise and budgets feel tighter, many households don't just cut back, they adapt. And the most effective adaptations are often practical, repeatable habits rather than extreme sacrifices. For example, bulk buying has become a common strategy for essentials that don't expire quickly. Purchasing larger quantities of household staples can reduce the cost per unit and lower the number of shopping trips, which also saves time and transport costs. Energy efficiency is another area where small changes add up. Using smarter heating schedules, switching off unused devices, and improving insulation can gradually reduce monthly bills without affecting comfort. These actions may seem modest, but over a year, they can create meaningful savings. Another quiet drain on finances is subscriptions. Streaming services, apps, memberships, and digital tools often start small but multiply over time. Many people pay for services they rarely use simply because the payments are automatic. Reviewing and cutting unused subscriptions is less about restriction and more about alignment, making sure money supports what truly adds value to daily life. This approach feels lighter than broad, cut-everything budgeting because it focuses on waste rather than enjoyment. There's also a productivity lesson here. Systems beat sacrifice. Relying on willpower alone is tiring, but setting up simple systems makes good financial habits almost automatic. For instance, automating savings, even small amounts, turns saving into a background process instead of a monthly debate. When money moves into savings automatically on payday, people adjust naturally to what remains. This reduces decision fatigue and builds a buffer over time. Smart adaptation is really about design, not denial. Households that adjust thoughtfully often maintain their lifestyle while becoming more efficient behind the scenes. Instead of feeling like they're constantly giving things up, they feel more in control. And that sense of control can be just as valuable as the savings themselves, because it turns financial management into a calm routine rather than a stressful reaction. Number 5. Social illusion. In today's digital world, financial pressure doesn't come only from bills and prices. It also comes from perception. Social media has a powerful way of showing the best moments of people's lives. New homes, holidays, cars, shopping hauls, and perfect lifestyles. What rarely appears are the trade-offs, debts, or financial worries behind the scenes. When people scroll through these highlight reels, it's easy to feel like everyone else is doing better financially, even when that may not be true. This creates what psychologists often call a comparison trap, where personal progress feels smaller simply because someone else appears ahead. Research in behavioral science has linked heavy social media use with increased anxiety, lower financial satisfaction, and distorted perceptions of normal living standards. The brain naturally compares, and when the comparison pool is filled with curated success stories, reality can feel inadequate. Someone might be carefully managing their budget, making responsible choices, and still feel behind after 10 minutes of scrolling. The issue isn't social media itself. It's forgetting that it shows a filtered slice of life. Most people share wins, not worries. This illusion can quietly influence spending decisions. Some may feel pressure to maintain appearances, upgrade lifestyles, or spend on things that don't truly match their priorities. Over time, this can strain budgets and increase stress. A helpful habit is limiting comparison scrolling, not necessarily quitting social media, but using it more intentionally. Noticing how certain content makes you feel, unfollowing accounts that trigger pressure, or setting time limits can protect both mental and financial well-being. The reality is that financial journeys are deeply personal. Every household has different goals, responsibilities, and timelines. When people step back from constant comparison, they often make calmer, smarter decisions aligned with their real needs. Recognizing the social illusion for what it is can be freeing, because it shifts focus from competing with others to building stability in your own life. Number 6. Future outlook. When people think about the future of prices and household finances, it's natural to hope for a full reset, that costs will simply return to what they used to be. In reality, prices rarely move backwards in a lasting way. Inflation can cool, meaning prices rise more slowly, but a complete reversal is uncommon in modern economies. This doesn't mean relief never comes. It often arrives in the form of slower increases, income growth over time, or better financial planning. Understanding this helps set balanced expectations. Instead of waiting for the world to become cheaper again, many financially steady households focus on adjusting to the environment as it is. Fear-based predictions can be especially distracting. Headlines sometimes lean toward extremes because dramatic stories capture attention. But long-term financial well-being is rarely built on reacting to worst-case scenarios. It's built on steady habits, informed decisions, and flexibility. Economic conditions change, policies evolve, and personal circumstances shift. Those who adapt tend to navigate uncertainty more comfortably than those who freeze or panic. Adaptability might mean updating budgets, learning new financial skills, or rethinking priorities as life changes. A balanced outlook also recognizes that not everything moves in the same direction at once. Wages, opportunities, technology, and efficiency improvements can gradually offset cost pressures. Over time, households find new rhythms. History shows that economies move through phases, and people adjust along the way. The key message for the future is not prediction but preparation. No one controls inflation or markets individually, but people can control how they respond. When households stay aware, flexible, and realistic, they place themselves in a stronger position regardless of where prices move next. Adaptability, more than perfect forecasting, often makes the biggest difference over time. Number 7. Control zone. In uncertain financial times, one of the most calming realizations is that not everything is out of your hands. While no household controls inflation, market prices, or the wider economy, there is a powerful control zone, the areas where personal choices make a real difference. Budget awareness is one of the strongest tools in that zone. Simply knowing where money goes each month creates clarity. It turns vague stress into specific numbers, and specific numbers are easier to manage. People who regularly review their finances often spot patterns early and make small corrections before problems grow. Time management also plays a quiet but important role in financial health. Rushed decisions tend to cost more, whether it's impulse shopping, late fees, or poorly compared deals. Giving yourself time to think before spending can improve choices without feeling restrictive. Even setting aside a short monthly review for bills, subscriptions, and goals can strengthen that sense of control. When finances are handled proactively instead of reactively, stress usually decreases. Intentional spending is another key part of the control zone. This doesn't mean cutting all enjoyment. It means directing money toward what truly matters to you. When spending aligns with priorities, people often feel more satisfied even if total spending doesn't dramatically change. It's about the quality of decisions, not just the quantity of savings. An empowerment mindset makes a difference here. Instead of focusing on what's getting more expensive, focus on what can be optimized to create forward momentum. Small improvements repeated over time build resilience. A useful reflection is simple but powerful. What can you optimize this month? It could be a habit, a bill, a system, or a plan. Each small step strengthens your control zone, and over time, Those steps add up to greater financial confidence and stability. Yes, the pressure on household budgets is real, but small, smart habits can quietly protect your future more than big, dramatic moves. I'd really like to hear your story. Which expense has surprised you the most this year? Your comment might help someone else feel less alone. If this video gave you value, watch our previous video on smart money and productivity, and support our work by subscribing. It's just one click, but it helps us keep creating thoughtful, well-researched content for you.